And before we get started with our varsity coverage, we're going to provide a little commentary as it is senior night. And it's going to be kind of a short ceremony here this evening because there is only one senior on the varsity squad this year, and that is Kennedy Valena, who is making her way to center court right now. Her mom is Shannon Valena and her dad Mike Valena. And Kennedy has been a 4-year varsity player. She also does volleyball. And I'm not even going to try to go through the other things that she's involved with here at Hicksville High School. She does a lot of stuff. Everybody wishing her the very best. Wants to study to become a pharmacist after she graduates from high school. So getting some well-deserved accolades as her teammates and Coach Josh Freese looking on. Hug from the coach. And high fives from all of her teammates. And again, wrapping up a great career. Not the last home game that she will be playing here at Hicksville. The last home game is the day before Valentine's Day, February 13th, against Wayne Trace. But still, we want to congratulate Kennedy Valena and again thank her for 4 great years. It's been a pleasure watching her play and call the basketball games that she's been involved in, and again watching her play volleyball as well. And she's overcome some adversity, of course, a bad leg injury at one point in her career. And just a terrific, terrific young lady. So our very best to her. Congratulations. And again, our best wishes for her future endeavors. So with that, we'll wrap up senior night for basketball, girls basketball, 2019-2020. And we'll be back with more here on HIX-TV. Hello, basketball fans. Welcome back to the Red Zone as we are getting ready to get the varsity contest for this evening underway. Hope you enjoyed the little pregame segment featuring the salute. Senior night festivities recognizing the lone senior on the Aces varsity squad, Kennedy Valena. And now we're going to get settled in and ready to go for some varsity basketball action here tonight. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Murphy with Hicksville Community Television. Brian Williams here with me tonight, running the camera. I want to thank Brian for taking some time out and giving up a Tuesday evening to help me out here tonight. And it's good to be back. I had an unexpected and long layoff, and my thanks to Brian and Christopher and my daughter Kate and my wife Amy and everybody else who pitched in to help cover for me while I had to be away for a little more than a couple of weeks. That being said, let's get ready for some basketball here this evening on the varsity level. And let's begin by running down the starting lineups for tonight's contest. For the visiting Lady Blackbirds from Pettisville, their starting 5 will be number 3, Jessica McWaters, a 5'4" senior guard. Number 5 is Elise Hartzler. Hartzler is a 5'3" junior, also playing guard. Number 11 is Michaela Graber. Graber 5'4" and a senior. Also getting the start tonight, number 12, forward Heather Sauter, 5'6" and a senior. And rounding out their starting 5, number 24, that is Allie King, 5'4" and only a freshman at the guard position. On the other side for the Lady Aces, getting the start tonight, well, pretty much the standard lineup. Number 3, Avery Slattery, the 5'10" sophomore. Number 10 is Kenzie Schrader, 6 foot even and only a freshman. Number 11, the lone senior on the squad, getting special recognition on this senior night, Kennedy Valena, 5'9", and as we mentioned, a senior. Number 15 is 5'10" freshman Molly Krall. And number 22 getting the start tonight is Macy Eicher, 5'5", and a sophomore. And Leah Seitz getting bumped up on the JV squad to varsity this evening, and she'll be wearing number 14. So congratulations to her as well. Center circle, tip is controlled by the Lady Aces, and we are underway. Crawl on the wing, tosses it back to Eicher, and Eicher gets it to Slattery, and back to Crawl. Earlier, if you were watching, as the shot up off glass and good by Kenzie Schrader. The junior varsity game tonight, only 2 quarters long, so kind of an early start here. Blackbirds on offense. Pettisville won the JV game, by the way, 8-0. Low scoring one. Graber, ball back to Hartzler. Hartzler's going to line up and take the long shot, no good. Rebound comes down to Crawl. Crawl to, nice. Slattery feeds to Schrader, and Schrader with another easy layup. Make it 4-0 Aces. Having a hard time going up the sideline there, but gets the ball away. A long 3 is no good over the blackboard, but recovered by Slattery before it goes out of bounds. Slattery across the timeline, gets the ball to Crawl. Crawl being guarded by McWaters. Needs some help, gets the ball off to Eicher. Eicher is getting the ball stripped away from her, though, by Graber. Graber will toss it back. Down under the corner, back to Graber again, now out to the top of the key to McWaters. McWaters looking for some help. She gets it over to Graber on the side. Graber passes it off, back to Graber again, and then to Hartzler, and back to McWaters. They'll continue to work it around the outside there. Driving in and pulling it back out. Nothing opening up for them. King has the ball briefly, and then they'll pass it back out. Shot from the corner. Nope, they're going to hold it onto it again. And it's stolen away by Slattery. Slattery goes coast to coast, lays it up, lays it in. Avery Slattery makes it a 6-0 game. And that's going to be a push. And that's going to be Macy Eicher picking up her first personal, team foul number 1. As she, and Sauter's going to come out of the game for Pettisville, and in for her is Xavier Borden, number 30. Ball inbounds by Hartzler. Gets it into McWaters. McWaters guarded by Crawl. Bounce pass down. And back to Graber, and then back to McWaters. Alley-oop pass, tries to get it down low. She was trying to hit King as she was coming in towards the basket, and just a little bit off with the pass. Slattery into Crawl. Here come the Lady Aces, back to Avery Slattery and back to Crawl. Crawl takes it across the timeline. Schrader, Slattery for 3. Off the back of the iron, Schrader grabs the rebound, and she's going to be tied up by Borden. Balzer into the game now, number 4. She will spell McWaters. Pettisville ball on the possession arrow. Bounce pass. That's Balzer. Balzer gets it down to Borden, who feeds over to Balzer, and the shot's no good. Other way, Valena. Valena pulls up and hits it. Valena gets her first points of the night. And it's an 8-0 game. Hartzler being guarded by Crawl. Hartzler tosses it over to Graber. Graber looking for some help. Gets it out of there and gets it to Taylor Balzer. Balzer, and they're going to have a timeout from head coach Jason Waldvogel. Jason Waldvogel held scoreless, as Blackbirds have been so far in this first quarter. takes a 30-second timeout. He's the head coach, and as we mentioned, his assistant, also the JV coach, is Charles Nossiger. And, of course, for the Lady Aces, Josh Freese, the head coach, assisted by Bob Weatherhead and by Ryan Meiser. So they'll sound the horn, and they'll break huddle. And what's shaping up to, early on at least, looks like it might be a long night for the Lady Blackbirds here tonight. So, got to get everybody back on the floor. So, they switched some personnel around, and I'm not sure if they got everybody checked in like they're supposed to. I think they've got everything set now as Izzy Smith has come into the game for the Lady Aces. And it looks like Lindsey Bergman and Kennedy Phillips are getting ready to check in. Shot is up from the wing, and that's good for 3 from Michaela Graber. Makes it an 8-3 game. Slattery down into the corner. 3-point from Schrader is off the iron, no good. Schrader gets her own rebound, gets it to Smith. Smith puts it up, no good. And it's grabbed by Borden. Borden tosses the ball over to McWaters. McWaters, guarded by Smith, gets across the timeline. McWaters tosses it over to Graber. Graber over to Balzer. And back to McWaters. And that one is intercepted by Schrader. Schrader feeds Krall. Krall's going to hold up, turn around, puts it up, and puts it in. Molly Krall with the bucket. And that makes it 10-3, 7-point lead now. McWaters, guarded by Krall. She'll pull up, tosses it down to King. King gets it back out, and that's in and out, no good. A 3-point attempt by Graber. Still volleyballing it around. It finally goes out of bounds underneath the bucket. And Heather Sauter and Hartzler, Ellie Hartzler, checking back in for the Blackbirds, and in for the Aces. Again, Kennedy Phillips, Lindsey Bergman, and I think Kelsey Monroe just checked in as well. Schrader across the timeline. Schrader gets it down to Phillips. Phillips for 3, short. Schrader saves it, gets it into Monroe, back to Phillips, and then back to Monroe again, cross court to Bergman, and then to Schrader. Schrader drives the bucket and hits the layup. 6 points now for Kenzie Schrader. Ball inbounds to Balzer for Pettisville. Gets it back to McWaters. McWaters being guarded by Smith and Schrader. Gets it across the timeline. McWaters drives down, then backs it out to the 3-point line. She'll take the shot, no good. And it caroms out of bounds. It should be Aces ball. Graber not out for very long. She'll check right back into the game. Also coming back is Allie King, as Balzer and McWaters will have a seat, catch their breath a little bit. Krall will come back into the game, and she'll spell Schrader for the Lady Aces. 2:28 to go, opening quarter. 12-3 Hicksville. Phillips into Krall, right back to Kennedy Phillips. Phillips across the timeline. Krall, and back to Phillips. Aces around the perimeter. Monroe's going to pull the trigger. No good. And a lot of people. I saw Borden going up for it. I think she held off, and I'm only going to say actually she was the last one to touch it before it went out of bounds. Phillips alley-oops it in to Monroe. Monroe over to Smith on the wing. Smith kicks it back out to Krall, and then back to Phillips. Aces will hold out on the top and see if they can get something to open up inside. Monroe back to Krall, back to Phillips. And timeout called by the Aces bench. That'll be their first timeout of the evening, a quick 30-second timeout. Fast-moving first quarter and really well played. Only one foul committed, and that was by the Lady Aces. Macy Eicher picked one up early. But aside from that, that's been it. No other infractions. 0 fouls committed by the Lady Blackbirds, and only the one by the Aces. And Josh Fries calling a quick timeout. I think wanting to maybe get things a little bit refocused on the offense there. They'll break huddle. And again, it'll be Monroe out on the floor along with Bergman, Smith, Phillips, and Krall for the Lady Aces. Phillips gets the inbounds. Krall and deflected, but quickly back in. Izzy is going to travel. Got the ball into Smith, but she took that little step before she dribbled, and that turns it back over to the Lady Blackbirds. Graber bounce passes it into McWaters. McWaters guarded by Phillips. Gets across the timeline. McWaters hesitates and gets it back to Graber. Shot up. Borden looking to try to get the rebound. She gets the shot up. No good. And it comes down into the hands of Monroe. Over to Krall. Long pass down to Smith. She'll back it out to Bergman. Bergman's shot bounces around a couple times, doesn't go down. Borden grabs the board for the Lady Blackbirds. Gets the ball to McWaters. McWaters going to drive into the hoop, put it up a little too much on it, goes over the bucket, comes down into the hands of Phillips. Phillips to Monroe. Monroe holds up, gets it back to Kennedy Phillips. She'll toss it over to Krall and then to Smith. Smith's got a good look, puts it up, no good. Ball comes down into the hands of Michaela Graber. Graber across the timeline with 35 seconds to go in the quarter. Bounce pass to McWaters. Back to Graber. Graber tosses it over to King. King with 20 seconds to Hartzler. Hartzler tries to get it down low. Ball's knocked loose. It goes out of bounds. Schrader will check back in and give Molly Krall a bit of a breather. 13.3 seconds left to go in quarter number 1. Pettisville's ball out of bounds on the baseline. McWaters gets it in, and it's stripped away by Schrader. Schrader, bounce pass to Smith, too much on it, and a little too far ahead of Izzy Smith. It goes out of bounds. It'll go back to the Lady Blackbirds with 6.7 seconds left. Schrader was hoping to feed her teammate and let Smith get the bucket. And we're going to have a push, and that's going to be on Izzy, I believe. Yep, Izzy Smith will pick up the second foul for the Lady Aces, her first personal. And she'll have a seat as Macy Eicher will check back in for Hicksville. Long inbounds to Borden. Borden across the timeline. Borden, well short, but she might as well take the shot. The time was about to expire, and that's the end of quarter number 1. We've played the first 8 minutes, and our score at the end of the first quarter, it's the Aces leading the Blackbirds 12-3 in the varsity contest. Well, we've got a little time here between quarters, so we'll take some time to say a big thank you to our basketball broadcast underwriters, the Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships here in Hicksville, Ohio. Jim Schmidt Chevrolet Buick, Jim Schmidt Ford, the Jim Schmidt Truck Lot, and, of course, online at jimschmidtauto.com. On this senior night, it only seems appropriate to say a big thank you to the Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships, as they have been with us throughout the entirety of the school year, underwriting all of our Aces sports coverage here on Hicksville Community Television, all the way back beginning of those preseason football games up until right now, all of the Aces sports action that you have seen on Hicksville Community Television from the junior high level all the way up through varsity sports, boys and girls, made possible thanks to the generous underwriting support of the Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships in Hicksville, Ohio. And so as we near the end of the regular season and get ready for basketball tournament, we want to thank them once again and let you know you'll be able to see the tournament action as well here on HIX-TV. All thanks to the Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships in Hicksville, Ohio, and online at jimschmidtauto.com. 8 minutes on the clock, and we are ready to get back into action here tonight in this girls varsity contest. Valena inbounds to Slattery, and we are underway. Avery Slattery looking things over, down to the wing to Schrader. Schrader, top of the key to Kroll. Graber comes out to meet Kroll. Kroll looking for some help, gets it off to Schrader, and then quickly over to Slattery. And again, Graber will come out to meet Avery Slattery. She'll work around her, backs out so she doesn't get trapped in the double team. Ball knocked out of her hands and picked up by Graber. Gets the steal, gets it to McWaters. Gets that to Hartzler. And then they lose it out of bounds. A little too much on the pass. So it'll be Ace's ball on the sideline as Malia Plank checks in for Pettisville, number 23. Slattery to Schrader. Back to Slattery. Down low to Kroll. Out to Slattery, into Schrader, down low to Eicher. And they'll back it out again. Now Kroll with the ball. Schrader. And again, they'll move it around the perimeter. Battle for the ball down at the baseline. And Graber will pick up the first foul for the Pettisville Blackbirds. Schrader gets the inbounds, puts it up off the glass. No good. Ball loose on the floor. And we're going to have a jump ball. Blackbirds hit the ball on the possession arrow. Coach Fries voicing his opinion. Bounce pass in. That's King. Over McWaters for three. And in and out, no good. Kroll grabs the rebound, slips, but manages to get the ball into Schrader's hands. She tosses it over to Slattery. Slattery tries to get the ball to Valena, but it's stolen by McWaters. McWaters stops underneath the hoop and kicks it back out. Shot up, no good. Being volleyballed around, Valena grabs it and gets it over to Slattery. Slattery down the floor, trapped on the sidelines, and it's going to be an over and back as Molly Kroll couldn't get to the basketball fast enough before it goes over the half-court line. Phillips ready to check back in. Also checking in for Pettisville, number 5, Elise Hartzler. Hartzler will come in and Plank will come out. Greaser with the ball now in the game for Pettisville as well. McWaters, that'll be off to the side and no good, but they grab the rebound. McWaters going to try another three from another point on the floor, and that one again a little bit long. Karams out into the hands of Macy Eicher. Now Kroll puts it up, no good. Put back up and in by Schrader. McWaters guarded by Schrader. Gets the ball into the hands of Graber. Graber back to McWaters. Still haven't got across the timeline. Now they do. McWaters back to Greaser. And they'll work around the perimeter. Hartzler back to McWaters. And that shot's blocked by Kroll. Allie King just in her face. She'll get the bucket and the foul. Kroll with the hoop, and she'll go to the line. And that's going to be Ellie Greaser picking up the foul. So that's team foul number 2 on the Blackbirds, I think. Yep, there we go. And that's Greaser's first. Aces up 16-3, and Kroll will be at the line to shoot a free throw. See if she can complete the three-point play here. They'll sound the horn with 5:06 to go. We'll get ready to get back into action. It'll be Molly Kroll at the free throw line, shooting one. Kroll hits it. Back the other way. McWaters for the Blackbirds. She'll toss it over to King. King will get the ball to Graber. Graber almost loses it, gets it back. Back into the hands of McWater, guarded by Bergman. McWater almost loses the ball, but she gets it back. And back to Graber now. Graber tries to drive in, nothing there. And Hartzler with the ball then. Back to McWaters. McWaters going to pull the trigger from three-point land, and that time she hits the glass and gets the drop. Makes it 17-6. Bergman on the other end. Back to Kroll, down into the corner to and let's see, then Phillips will put it up. No good. Schrader had the ball to Phillips. Phillips shot no good. McWaters guarded by Schrader. Bounce pass to Greaser. Greaser back to Graber. And back to McWaters. We'll try another three off the front of the iron. No good. Rebound stays with the Blackbirds. Say one thing for McWaters, she's not shy about pulling the trigger from three-point land, and that's going to be a foul. That'll put Greaser on the deck, and that'll be number 13, Lindsey Bergman. That'll be team foul number 3 for the Aces. Bergman's first personal, and Ellie Greaser at the line. Shooting two, in and out, no good. She'll get one more. 3:45 left in the game, or in the half, I should say. Borden checks back into the game, as does Taylor Balzer for Pettisville. And Ellie Greaser's going to have one more. And that one's no good. Izzy Smith grabs the rebound and quickly down the floor. Phillips in the corner. Feeds Kroll. Kroll has her shot deflected and into the hands of Balzer. Balzer gets it to McWaters. McWaters crossed the timeline. McWaters driving in. Spin move, puts up the shot, no good. Phillips grabs the rebound. Long pass down the floor to Smith. And we're going to have a whistle and a foul. And Ellie Greaser will pick up her second personal foul and team foul number 3. Back into the game comes Graber for Pettisville. And also checking back in is going to be Malia Plank. Plank will come in and let Balzer have a seat and catch her breath. 3:19 to go in the half. And timeout right before the inbounds play. And this is going to be a full 1-minute timeout called by Coach Josh Freese. So while the Aces are in this timeout, we can take a little bit of a look ahead here at the remaining regular season games on our broadcast schedule. Again, we're getting set to close things out here. This, believe it or not, is the next to last game. There's only one more girls' night of basketball here at the Red Zone before the end of the regular season. The game tonight wraps up, then the next 3 are on the road for the Lady Aces. They'll play at Fairview on February 6th, at Eden on Saturday the 8th. On the 11th, they visit North Central, and then they come home to wrap up the regular season with their final game here at the Red Zone, and that'll be against Wayne Trace on February the 13th, which I believe is a Thursday night. And on the boys' side, we only have one more boys' basketball game here at the Red Zone this regular season, and that'll be coming up on Friday night of this week, February 7th, against the Fairview Apaches. So we only have 3 more regular season games coming up here on Hicksville Community Television, only 2 more after tonight's game. And then, of course, we'll have the tournament coverage coming your way. Schrader under the hoop, puts it up, no good. Her putback is no good, but she'll draw the foul. And that's going to be Xavier Borden, number 30, picking up her first personal foul, team foul number 4. Schrader at the line, shooting 2, gets the first one. And she'll have 1 more. Valena will come back into the game. Bergman will step out. 1 more for Schrader. And that's good. By my reckoning, I think the Aces are 3 for 3 from the free throw line, shooting 100%. Plank with the ball for the Blackbirds. Wanted to try to get the ball to Graber, but she fell down. Borden winds up with it. Now Graber, almost stolen by Smith. Bounce pass down low to Plank. Plank in trouble, guarded by Phillips. And we're going to have another whistle and a foul, as they were given a hard time to King. Izzy Smith's going to pick up her second personal, and team foul number 4 on the Aces. 2:48 to go in the game, and Krall and Smith will step out, and into the game will be Slattery and Phillips, and Eicher back into the game too. It's going to be Slattery and Eicher. Inbounds to McWaters for Pettisville. 2:45 to go in the half. Plank now with the ball, guarded by Phillips. Plank bounce pass over to Graber. Graber gets the ball over to King, to Borden. Ball loose. Graber grabs it to Plank. Plank loses it, but it's scooped up by McWaters. Inside to Borden. Nothing there for her, though. McWaters. And now Graber on the wing. Graber's going to drive in. Nothing there. Bounce pass back to McWaters. Aces defense doing the job here on this possession. Graber has the ball knocked loose. Scooped up by Schrader. Schrader coast to coast. Lays it up. Lays it in. 12 points now for Kenzie Schrader. And timeout, Pettisville. Boy, at this rate, we won't have many timeouts coming up in the second half because they've used an awful lot here in the first half of play. It's a Pettisville timeout. That'll leave 3 for them. Oh, I take it back. It was not a timeout. It was a technical foul. Okay. So Schrader will shoot the tee shots. Gets the first one. Misses that one. That's the first miss they've had from the free throw line tonight. So Kenzie Schrader makes it a 22-6 game. Phillips and Schrader will step out. I'm not sure who pulled the technical. I think it might have been the bench for Pettisville. 22-6. Minute 55 to go, and after the free throws, Aces get the ball back. Inbounds to Slattery, back to Valena. Valena down low, nothing there, and the pass deflected and winds up in McWaters' hands. McWaters to Greaser. Greaser back to McWaters. Over to Plank and to Greaser then. And continue to move it around the perimeter. McWaters as we go under 90 seconds to play in the half. Drive in, shot up, no good, but a whistle and a foul. And that's going to be Avery Slattery getting her first personal. Team foul number 6. So next foul committed by the Aces will put the Blackbirds into the bonus. And it will be Michaela Graber shooting 2 for Pettisville. Hits that one. 4 points now for Michaela. Hartzler will come into the game for Pettisville. And I think King came back into the game too. Graber's second shot also good. Now she's got 5 points and makes it 22-7. Bergman down to the corner to Monroe. Monroe down to Bergman. Shot no good, but a foul. Bergman couldn't get the bounce. And that's going to be another foul on Borden. That'll be her second personal and team foul number 6.
At the line shooting 2, number 13, Lindsey Bergman.
Bergman misses the first one.
Returning to the lineup for Pettisville's number 12, Heather Sauer.
And that one's no good. Sauter grabbed the rebound, gets it over to Graber. Graber to McWaters for 3, no good. Out of bounds. Should be Ace's ball with 1:04 left to go. Need to correct myself too. They made the correction on the scoreboard. Only 5 team fouls committed by the Lady Aces so far in this half. Monroe with the ball. Across the timeline to Slattery. Avery Slattery to Bergman. Bergman feeds it down inside to Valena. Taken away by McWaters. McWaters to Graber. Graber looking for some help. Guarded by Slattery, gets it to McWaters. McWaters will drive low, put it up, no good. Rebound grabbed by Bergman. Bergman to Monroe with 27 seconds. Down the corner, Kennedy Valena. Valena to Eicher. Eicher drives to the bucket. Shot's no good. Rebound comes down to Hartzler. Hartzler guarded by Eicher. Bounce pass over to Graber. She'll pull the trigger from three-point land, and it's good. Graber, 8 points now for Michaela, 22-11. Monroe off the iron at the buzzard, and that's the end of the first half. We've played the first 16 minutes of varsity basketball here at the Red Zone tonight, and at halftime, it's the homestanding Lady Aces leading the Pettisville Blackbirds 22-11. We're going to take a break, but we invite you to stay tuned. Brian and I will be back, and we'll have all the exciting second half play-by-play coming your way right here on HIX-TV. Welcome back to the Red Zone as we are at halftime of this girls varsity non-conference affair here tonight. Senior night for the Lady Aces. And if you are just joining us at halftime, it's the Hicksville Lady Aces leading the Lady Blackbirds of Pettisville 22-11. Our halftime score. And again, we'll say congratulations to Kennedy Valena, the lone senior on the varsity squad this year. And so kind of a special night. It's all about her tonight. Taking a look at the unofficial scoring in the first half here this evening. Let's start off with the Blackbirds because they've only had a couple of gals that have been able to score and put points on the board for them tonight. Leading scorer for Pettisville in the first half was number 11, Michaela Graber. Michaela had 2 3-point shots and a couple of free throws for 8 points total in the first half. And aside from that, number 3, Jessica McWaters put in a 3-pointer for 3, and that's their 11 points. On the Aces side, leading all scorers, the only player in double figures in the first half was number 10, Kenzie Schrader. Schrader put in 5 field goals and also added 3 free throws for 13 points in the first half. After that, Molly Kroll had a couple of buckets and a free throw for 5, and then a bucket and 2 for both Avery Slattery and for Kennedy Valena. And that adds up to 22. So there you have it, 22-11 at halftime. And 16 minutes of basketball yet to go here from the Red Zone this evening. So you mentioned Tuesday night, long drive to Hicksville from Pettisville, and the weather not the greatest out there, I understand. So kind of a light crowd here at the Red Zone tonight. I anticipate a bigger crowd coming up on Friday when the Fairview Apaches come to town to play the boys. 8 minutes on the clock. It'll be Hicksville's ball to start the second half. Bill Murphy, Brian Williams, glad to have you with us here on Hicksville Community Television. We're underway. Slattery with the ball for the Lady Aces. Gets down to Kroll. Kroll back to Valena. Guarded by Borden. Down to Schrader. Schrader to Kroll as they'll sort of run the wheel a little bit here. They've got an 11-point lead, so they can afford to be patient. Let the clock work with them. Kroll drives in, stops, kicks it back out. Now down into the corner, and it's slapped out of Macy Eicher's hands and out of bounds by Graber. So it'll be Ace's ball on the sideline. Slattery launches it into Schrader. Schrader almost loses it, gets it to Eicher. Eicher from just inside the three-point line, no good. And we're going to have a foul on Schrader for pushing off. That'll be her first and team foul number 1 for the Aces here in the second half. Both teams used 2 timeouts in the first half, so both squads only 3 timeouts remaining here in half number 2. In a double team, McWaters into some trouble. Still trying to get it out, and they finally managed to get across the timeline. Avoid the 10-second count. Graber to McWaters. She'll hold up for a moment. Back to Graber, inside to Borden. Back to Graber. Graber from 3 for the corner, no good. Kroll with the rebound. And that's stolen by Graber. Borden. Shot put up by Hartzler off the back of the iron, no good. Hartzler gets the rebound. King over to McWaters. Down low to Borden. Back out to McWaters. And they'll work around the perimeter. Hartzler to McWaters. Guarded by Kroll. McWaters drives in towards the paint. Bounce pass to Borden. Nothing there. She'll hand it off to Graber. Off the iron, no good. King grabs the board. She's being harassed a little bit. Manages to get the ball out. Top of the key. McWaters pulls the trigger from three-point land. That'll go out of bounds. It'll be Ace's ball. Inbounds to Slattery and right back to Kenzie Schrader. Schrader to Slattery again. And now to Kroll. Kroll loses the dribble. McWaters, and it'll be, well, they're still wrestling for it. And they'll finally blow the whistle. Jump ball. Should go to the Blackbirds. It does. With 5:59 to go in quarter number 3. Graber gets it into McWaters. McWaters is going to be fouled by Slattery. That's Avery's second personal and team foul number 2 on the Aces. McWaters gets the inbounds to Graber. Graber drives to the hoop. Puts it up, no good. Ball loose on the floor and out of bounds. That should be the Aces' ball. Borden pursuing it, not able to get to it before it goes out. They'll have Xavier sit down, and in the game, Heather Sauter, number 12. Kroll to Slattery. Slattery back to Kroll, and back to Slattery again. Timeout, Coach Josh Freeze.
Timeout, Hicksville, 30 seconds
Quick 30-second timeout as Freese wants to refocus the Aces girls a little bit. Still 22-11. We've played for about 3 minutes here, a little over that, I think. Well, anyway, no scoring yet in this third quarter on either side of the ball. Blackbirds will break huddle, as do the Aces. It'll be Hicksville's ball, half court. 5:29. So, yeah, we played 2.5 minutes without a score. Slattery to Valena, down in the corner. Kennedy spins, tosses it over to Eicher. Eicher almost lost by Schrader, but she gets it back, and now Kroll with the ball. Slattery for 3. Bingo! Avery Slattery dials it up from long distance. Puts 3 in, the ball stolen away. Schrader up and good. Quick 5 points in the Aces, and then almost stolen on the inbounds pass. McWaters will come in, and Hartzler will step out. Also sitting down is King, and Borden back in for Pettisville. Graber gets the ball into McWaters. McWaters beats the double team. She's pursued by Kroll. Tries to get it down the court, and it goes out of bounds. And they're saying last touched by Pettisville, or no, last touched by Hicksville. Okay, that makes more sense. I thought for sure that somebody from Hicksville had slapped that ball when it went out of bounds. McWaters long inbounds, gets it into Greaser. Back to McWaters, who puts it up from three-point land off the back of the iron. No good. Rebound grabbed by Graber, and Graber's going to get a whistle. And Eicher will pick up her second personal foul. That's team foul number 3 on the Aces. Heather Sauter will come out of the game. And Plank back in for the Blackbirds. McWaters guarded by Slattery. Bounce pass down to Borden, to Plank. Plank is going to put it up off the glass and good. Malia Plank with the Lady Blackbirds' first points of the second half. Valena to Kroll. Kroll kicks it out to Schrader. Kenzie Schrader for a long 2. McWaters on the wing, back to Graber. Graber drives into the paint, loses it. Plank scoops it up to Greaser, back to Graber. And there'll be a whistle underneath the bucket. Eicher will pick up her third personal, and team foul number 4 away from the ball. So Eicher, Valena, Slattery all having a seat. And Kroll came out too. McWaters for 3, no good. Schrader almost grabbed the rebound. It'll be a tie-up between Borden and Monroe, and that should go to the Aces on the possession arrow. Schrader into Monroe, right back to Schrader. Plank's going to come and give her a little bit of pressure. Schrader down to Monroe. Monroe, Phillips into the game, has the ball, top of the key. Phillips tries to get it into Schrader. She does. There's going to be a reach in and a whistle. And that's going to be on number 22, Black, which will be Ellie Greaser, and that'll be her third personal. And team foul number 1 for the Pettisville Blackbirds here in this second half. Greaser will come out. And Graber back into the game for her. 3:21 to go in quarter number 3. Aces ball on the sideline. Monroe gets it in to Phillips. Phillips, bounce pass down to Schrader. Schrader puts it up, bounces across the iron, no good. Ball out of bounds. Stays with the Aces. Bounce pass in, stolen away from Bergman by Borden. Borden gets it over to McWaters. McWaters to Graber. Graber into the paint, puts it up off the front of the iron, no good. Borden grabs the board, however, gets it to Plank. Plank back to McWaters for 3. Got it. Second 3 of the night for Jesse McWaters. 29-16 Aces. 2:44 and the clock rolling in the third quarter. Schrader hangs on to the ball. Schrader's spin move, and she'll be fouled. And that'll be Malia Plank's first, and team foul number 2 on the Blackbirds. Common foul, so Aces ball out of bounds. Graber will come out of the game for Pettisville, and Hartzler back in. Schrader off the glass, no good, and out of bounds. Last touched by the Blackbirds, so the Aces will maintain possession. Monroe inbounds to Schrader, who puts it up right away, no good. Borden grabs the rebound, tosses it to McWaters. McWaters guarded by Smith. Out to Borden. Back to McWaters. Now Bergman guarding McWaters. Bounce pass back to Borden and back to McWaters again. McWaters moves the ball around, feeds it down low. Shot up by Borden, no good. Rebound comes down to Kennedy Phillips, to Smith. Smith, high dribble, and it'll be a turnover. She carries the ball. Minute 52, 29-16 Aces. Inbounds to McWaters from Hartzler. McWaters drives in, puts it up, and looks like she may draw the foul from Kenzie Schrader. Yep. Schrader's second personal. Team foul number 5 on the Aces, racking them up this half. And that's going to have McWaters at the line, hits the first one. Smith will come out of the game and crawl back in for Hicksville. McWaters hits them both. 8 points now for Jessica McWaters. And she'll come out of the game. It'll be Borden and Graber back in, along with Plank and Greaser. Schrader with the ball for the Lady Aces. Kenzie gets it to Molly Krall. Krall, Phillips from just inside the arc, hits it. A long 2 from Kennedy Phillips, her first points of the night, and makes it 31-18. Hartzler stepped on the sideline. McWaters back into the game. And they need to get to Plank off the floor. All right. Almost had 6 players on the floor there. Krall loses the dribble and dribbles it out of bounds, turns it over to the Blackbirds with a minute 21 to go in our third quarter. And they'll check Allie King back into the game, and they'll have Graber sit down. Graber looking like she might be a little gimpy on one of her ankles. She's walking around on the sideline, favoring one of her ankles a little bit. McWaters with the ball for the Lady Blackbirds, guarded by Krall. McWaters bounce pass to Greaser. Greaser going to be fouled by Phillips. That's Phillips' first foul, team foul number 6. So Pettisville 1 foul away from going into the bonus. McWaters launches it in to Hartzler. Hartzler looking for some help, back to McWaters. She'll drive in, puts up the shot, no good. Monroe grabs the rebound to Schrader. Kenzie brings it up the floor, guarded by McWaters across the timeline to Krall. Krall down in the corner, Monroe puts it up off the iron, no good. Follow up, that's good from Schrader. Back the other way with the Blackbirds. No good, but that'll be a foul. There'll be two shots. Kelsey Monroe gets her first personal, team foul number 7. Shooting foul, so she'll shoot 2, but it'll also put the Blackbirds in the bonus for the remainder of the game. That one's good for Greaser. She'll have one more. Ellie Greaser at the line, shooting 2. She's 1 for 1 so far. Her second shot. No good. Rebound comes down to, well, I thought Bergman had it. Now she does. Gets it out to Valena. To Slattery. Slattery across the timeline. Slattery, ball knocked out of bounds by Greaser. It'll stay with the Aces. With 16.9 seconds to go. And it's stolen on the inbounds by McWaters. She'll toss it over to Greaser. Greaser across the timeline to McWaters. McWaters for 3, no good. And they'll let it go out of bounds. It'll be Aces ball with 5.9 seconds to go in the quarter. Inbounds to Phillips, to Monroe. Monroe to Phillips from half court. No good. And after 3, it's the Aces continuing to lead the Blackbirds 33-19, our third quarter score. Well, as we get ready to head into the fourth and final quarter here tonight, again, we want to say a big thank you to our basketball broadcast underwriters, the Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships in Hicksville, Ohio. The entire basketball season, they've been with us underwriting our coverage of both boys and girls basketball action from the junior high all the way through the varsity level. We want to thank them so very much for that. And when tournament time rolls around here in a couple weeks, we'll be following both the Lady Aces and the Boy Aces on the tournament trail. And again, thanks to the generous underwriting support of Jim Schmidt Chevrolet Buick and Jim Schmidt Ford right here in Hicksville, Ohio. And, of course, online at jimschmidtauto.com. You can check out the entire dealer inventory for both dealerships, as well as all the service specials and all the other news and information regarding the Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships in Hicksville, Ohio. We want to thank them so very much for their continued underwriting support of Aces basketball coverage here on Hicksville Community Television. The Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships in Hicksville, Ohio, and online at jimschmidtauto.com. Pettisville with the ball to kick off the fourth and final quarter here. McWaters drives down below the bucket, puts it up, and gets the roll, and it's good. 10 points now for McWaters, and we're going to have a whistle.
Returning into the lineup for the Aces, number 10, Kenzie Schrader.
Out of bounds. Bergman will have a seat, and Schrader back into the game for the Lady Aces. McWaters takes the ball across the timeline. Working against Izzy Smith. Gets the ball out of there to Allie King. King comes around the side, bounce pass to Borden. Borden guarded by Eicher. Borden gets around her, puts up the shot, no good. Slattery grabs the rebound for Hicksville. Slattery to Schrader. Back to Slattery. Slattery gets it down to Eicher in the corner. Macy will bring it out. Avoids losing the ball. Kicks it over to Slattery. He'll take the three-pointer from the corner. No good. Smith grabs the board. Back to Slattery on the wing, and then down to Valena. Valena works her way in and is going to be fouled. Greaser will pick up her 4th personal foul. And that's team foul number 3 on the Blackbirds. Inbounds to the Aces. Slattery to Schrader. Schrader into Valena. Back to Schrader. Schrader for 3, no good. And that's going to be grabbed by King. King gets it over to McWaters for the Blackbirds. McWaters takes it in, and she'll be fouled. And that's going to be on Slattery. That'll be Avery's 3rd. Team foul number 8. McWaters gets the first one. Misses a second one. Schrader grabs the board. Quickly down the floor to Valena. Valena to Schrader. To Kroll back into the game. Kroll to Valena. And she'll get it back out to Slattery. Slattery will lay it up. No good. Valena underneath the basket. Grabs the board. Gets it off to Kroll. Kroll puts up the shot. No good. Plank grabs it. Gets it over to Borden for Pettisville. She'll toss it to McWaters across the timeline, and here come the Lady Blackbirds. McWaters, timeout as she was about to get time called on her. So the Blackbirds will call timeout. That'll leave them with 2, and it'll be a full 1-minute timeout for Pettisville. They trail by 11. Aces are up 33-22 here in the 4th quarter. And again, 2 timeouts remaining for both squads. The Aces they've committed 8 team fouls, so the Blackbirds are in the bonus for the remainder of the game. Pettisville, on the other hand, has only committed 3 fouls so far this second half, so they have plenty of fouls they can give before they have to worry about sending the Lady Aces to the line. Senior night here at the Red Zone. Again, our very best to Kennedy Valena, as she not quite ready to wrap up her basketball career. There's still a few games yet to be played, including another home game on February 13th against Wayne Trace, and then, of course, the tournament run. And again, the Lady Aces' first tournament game is going to be against Allen East. They'll be playing against Allen East down at Bluffton High School. And I think that's on February 18th, but don't hold me to that. I don't have it in front of me. McWaters forgot which end of the court. Oh, my goodness. Is her face red? Oh, boy. That happens to everybody sooner or later. Jessie McWaters got the ball and forgot which basket was hers and went the wrong way and got the over and back call. Slattery to Schrader. Schrader almost gets the ball stripped. Schrader down low to Kroll. Kroll puts it up off glass. No good. Tussle for it underneath the bucket. It goes out of bounds. They'll see who it was last touched by. Wait for the officials' determination. I couldn't see from our vantage point. There were too many people around the basketball. They're going to say Pettisville touched it last. So Slattery will inbounds it to Valena. She'll toss it over to Eicher, who takes the long shot. No good. McWaters gets the rebound, guarded by Kroll. McWaters. Bounce pass down to Plank, who puts it up. No good. Schrader grabs the rebound. Schrader to Eicher. Eicher gets it stripped by McWaters. McWaters to Hartzler, back to McWaters. Over to King. King guarded by Eicher. Gordon sets a pick for her to help her out a little bit. Gets it over to McWaters for three off the iron over the backboard, and that'll be a turnover to the Lady Aces with 4:44 left to go in the game. Checking in for Pettisville, Heather Sauter. She'll step in for Allie King. Schrader inbounds to Kroll, right back to Kenzie Schrader. Schrader working through some traffic, gets it over to Kroll again. Kroll bounce pass to Schrader down in the corner. Kenzie brings it up, cross down the corner into Eicher. Eicher nothing there, ball stripped from her, and she and Greaser hit the deck. Foul's going to be on Heather Sauter, number 12. That'll be team foul number 4. Slattery looking to get the ball inbounds, gets it into Eicher. Eicher bounce pass back to Slattery, now to Valena, and back to Slattery. Eicher down in the corner. Gets it to Kroll. Kroll drives baseline. Nothing there. Kicks it back out to Valena. Puts it up. No good. Plank grabs the rebound to McWaters. McWaters, bit of a acting job, and she gets the friendly roll, and it goes down. McWaters with 12 now. Kroll bounce pass to Valena, up and good. Valena makes it 35-24, back to an 11-point lead. McWaters guarded by Schrader. She'll pull up. Plank, and that's going to get rejected out of bounds. Stay with Pettisville, but Schrader just slapped that one out of bounds. Allie King back into the game. Valena and Eicher will step out for the Lady Aces. Slattery's going to come out too. Phillips and Monroe and Bergman back into the game. McWaters looking to get the ball inbounds, launches it, gets it into King. King over to McWaters again. McWaters looking things over from the wing. Bounce pass to Greaser, top of the key. Greaser to King. Nothing there, guarded by Kroll. Now Plank, top of the key, tries to get it down low into Borden, and that's going to be a foul on Bergman. That'll be Lindsay's second. Team foul number 9, and that's going to put Borden on the line to shoot 1-1. Xavier Borden gets her first point of the night. She'll have one more. Borden misses the second one. Bergman grabs the rebound to Schrader, to Kroll, to Monroe, back to Kroll, back to Monroe, back to Kroll, and back to Bergman. Aces again can afford to be patient here. Phillips, another long shot, and followed up by Schrader, and that's good. Kenzie Schrader with more than 20 now on the night. Borden gets the pass, gets it over to King. King from just inside the three-point arc, no good. Schrader with the rebound with 2:34. And a full timeout called by the Aces. 37-25, a 12-point advantage for the Aces. And that'll be their fourth timeout called in this game. They'll be able to stop the clock one more time before regulation time expires. So they're going to go over everything for the stretch run here. It may seem kind of odd, but the fact is, like I said, when Pettisville is in the bonus, and if they start playing aggressively, And, the next foul will be the 10th team foul for Hicksville, which will be double bonus. That means that they will shoot 2 free throws no matter what. And when you have that ability to shoot those 2 free throws with the clock stopped, you can close a gap pretty quickly if you're good with your free throws. So want to try to avoid sending them to the line if possible. And I think that Josh Freese seen something else too. He's been diagramming on the little mini whiteboard down there, showing his girls something that he immediately wipes it clean so it can't get picked up by the camera. And we're ready to get back into action. 2:32 inbounds to Phillips, back to Schrader. Quickly down the floor, that's Kroll. Now to Monroe. Monroe will bring the ball back out, 2:24. Phillips to Kroll. Kroll going to be fouled by McWaters. That's only the first personal foul on Jessica McWaters. Team foul number 5 on the Blackbirds. Ace's ball out of bounds on the sideline. Phillips launches it in, and it's stolen by McWaters, who got it in front of Schrader. McWaters dribbles up, gets it to Borden. Borden right back to McWaters. McWaters around Kroll, puts it up, and she'll draw the foul. Molly Kroll, that's her first personal. Team foul number 10. So it's 2 shots regardless for the Blackbirds from here on out. McWaters gets the first one. She'll get one more. Boom, gets them both. 5 points from the free throw line for McWaters to go along with 10 from the floor for 15 so far tonight. Kroll is going to get wrapped up and fouled, and that's going to be Hartzler picking up her first personal and team foul number 6 for the Blackbirds. Slattery back into the game as Schrader will, nope, I take that back. Monroe's going to have a seat. Now they're trying to figure out who's going to inbounds the ball. All right, it's going to be Slattery. Minute 51 to go, inbounds to Phillips. Phillips traveled. Good job on defense by McWaters as she gets Phillips to travel and turn the ball over. Minute 47, it's a 10-point game. McWaters gets the inbounds, guarded by Kroll. Gets across the timeline. McWaters drives into the paint, kicks it back out to Greaser. Greaser, bounce pass, loose on the floor, and it comes up into the hands of Kenzie Schrader. Down the floor, and she put too much on it. Too far out in front of Avery Slattery, goes out of bounds and back to the Pettisville Blackbirds with 90 seconds left in regulation. McWaters loses the ball, gets it back. McWaters bounce pass down to King, right back to McWaters. Shot no good. Bergman grabs the rebound to Schrader. Schrader guarded by Borden. Schrader stops, reverses herself, gets it down to Kroll now. And Phillips in the corner, underneath Schrader, up and no good. Her putback gets the roll and down it goes. I think that's 23 now for Schrader on the night. Under a minute. McWaters tries to get it into Borden. It's taken out of there by Bergman. Slattery. And all right, and that'll be another timeout called by the Aces. Like everybody was a little bit confused there, but full timeout called by Coach Josh Fries. Aces leading by a dozen, 39-27. Blackbirds' next foul, if Pettisville commits another foul, they get another one in. That'll put the Aces in the bonus and will send them to the line to shoot 1 and 1. Pettisville in the double bonus, so they'll shoot 2 with any foul committed against them by Hicksville. And again, this is the last timeout allotted to the Aces, so they will not be able to stop the clock from here on out. Blackbirds still have 2 timeouts remaining if they need them. Again, under a minute to go, though, so we'll see. It can take a long time to play 48 seconds in a basketball game, or 42 seconds, as the case may be. Although if you really want to be precise, 41.4 seconds left in regulation. Aces ball. Avery Slattery sets the inbounds on the sideline. Slattery looking around, gets it into Crawl. Crawl launches it to Slattery, and it's knocked out of bounds. Stays with the Aces with 33.4 seconds. Back into Crawl. Crawl facing a double team and some pressure. Gets it to Valena. Valena across the timeline, back to Crawl. Crawl over to Slattery. Slattery to Phillips. Phillips bounce pass to Slattery with 15 seconds left in the game. Slattery. And now to Phillips again, as they're just going to let the air out, burn off the time. Crawl. There's playing keep away. Crawl's going to just stand there, and that'll be it. Time expires, and the Aces put one in the win column as they defeat the Pettisville Blackbirds by a dozen, 39-27, the final score. I'm going to do some rapid addition here. We'll get you some unofficial scoring just as soon as we can. And here we go. Let's do just that. We'll start off with the Pettisville Blackbirds on the short end of the scoreboard tonight. Their 27 points breaks down this way. Leading scorer for the Blackbirds, and no real surprise there, the only Pettisville player in double figures was Jessica McWaters. She had 2 threes, a couple of deuces, and 5 from the free throw line to finish up the night with 15 points to her credit. After that, Michaela Graber. Graber had a couple of threes and a couple of free throws for 8 points in the first quarter, was not able to score in the second quarter. Ellie Grieser had a free throw for 1. Malia Plank had a bucket and 2. And Xavier Borden with a free throw and 1 point tonight for their 27. For the Aces, the only ace in doubles figures, leading all scorers tonight. What a night for Kenzie Schrader. She had 5 field goals in the first half, 5 field goals in the second half, and 3 free throws to finish out the night with 23 points unofficially. After that, 5 points for Avery Slattery on a deuce and a three-pointer. 5 points for Molly Crawl and a couple of field goals and a free throw. 2 field goals and 4 points for Kennedy Valena tonight, and a bucket and 2 for Kennedy Phillips as well for their 39. So there you have it, another win for the Lady Aces, non-conference, but a great victory. They always like to have a win on senior night, and they did just that for Kennedy Valena tonight. 39-27, the Lady Aces come out on top. That's going to wrap things up, and again, as we mentioned, Hicksville will be on the road for their next 3 games. The Girls will be back here for the final game of the regular season. That'll be on February the 13th, right before Valentine's Day. They'll host Wayne Trace here at the Red Zone. And our next broadcast is coming up this Friday, as the Fairview Apaches will be here for the final home game of the regular season for the boys' varsity game. So just a couple more regular season broadcast basketball games coming your way here on HIX-TV before we kick off our tournament coverage. Hey, we want to say a big thank you to Misters Haught and Overmeyer, the co-athletic directors, as always, making us feel very welcome here. Great place, and again, we can't thank them enough for all they've done for us throughout the entire regular season. Thanks also to the Jim Schmidt family of automotive dealerships in Hicksville, Ohio. Jim Schmidt Chevrolet Buick, Jim Schmidt Ford, the Jim Schmidt Truck Lot, and online at jimschmidtauto.com. Most of all, though, thanks to you for tuning by. Hope you've enjoyed our Aces basketball coverage this evening. Once again, final score tonight from the Red Zone. It's the Aces defeating the Pettisville Lady Blackbirds by a dozen. 39-27 the final score. Now for Brian Williams running the camera, I'm Bill Murphy for Hicksville Community Television, wishing you good night and good sports.
How about you, Kev? I told Kev earlier that, Kev, you're the first one that we've had the privilege to coach for 4 years now. For those of you who aren't here, have practice every day, probably one of the biggest things that we love about Kennedy, it doesn't matter in all her 4 years, no matter what it has been, never once have you complained. Never once have we asked you to do anything that you didn't attack it with full-on self-confidence. Whether or not you had self-confidence, there wasn't doubt in our mind when you believed in yourself. And how valuable that is to those girls around you, that is true leadership. I know that sometimes, it's tough to lead vocally, but leading by example every single day, whether it's sitting out a whole year because of a knee injury, no matter what, when you lead by example, I'm forever proud to call myself your coach. I know that we are going to miss you tremendously. Coaches, players all are, the fans all are, miss seeing that smiling face. So I will turn it over to our juniors.
Okay, dear Kev, thanks for all you've done for this team over the years and this year. You always work hard no matter how you're feeling or what's going on outside of basketball. You've been and are a great captain, teammate, and friend. Your hard work, positive attitude, and effort are something everyone looks up to. Thanks for all the laughs over the last few seasons. It's sad to see you go, but it's been a blast being able to be on the team with you. Things won't be the same without your loud, fun personality and your never-ending good advice. Although we never want this to end, it sadly does. We hope you know we wish you nothing but the best in the future, and we cannot wait to see what great things you will accomplish. Always remember to trust the process as you move forward into new beginnings, but most importantly, always go in. We love you, Kev.
Good enough then?